And we're live once again. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer. We do this every Friday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time from the U.S. And before I forget, for those in the U.S., happy Labor Day weekend. We've got a long weekend working this weekend. And most of us, I guess, are off on Monday. I don't have to go back to work until next Thursday, so that's good for me. Eleanor's the only one that I see here so far. Okay, another Friday night. Wishing you all a very great evening and happy Labor Day weekend. So glad you're here, Eleanor. And of course, every week we go over some of the tech stories of the last week. It hasn't been an exciting week because we're all waiting for next Wednesday with the big Apple event. But I've got some stories, and in case you haven't been here before, you can follow the show notes on my webpage. I'll share the screen to show you that. So if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on the first story with today's date, and you'll have the stories for this week. So this week we're going to be talking about, just like T-Mobile, which we reported on last week or the week before, Apple will soon let you use satellites for connectivity. That story from CNET. Then we're going to continue with iPhone 14 with Apple. iPhone 14 Pro has some slick software tricks in its display cutouts. So explain that to you. U.S. Commerce Department has started restricting sales of AI chips to Russia and China. That's an Engadget story. And then Qualcomm has come up with its new Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 system on a chip coming soon to mid-rangers with 4-nanometer technology. So that's kind of exciting. And after that, we're going to continue with all the tech layoffs. Snapchat layoffs continue trend of tech job cuts. I pulled that from BBC News, but that story is all over the place. And the last story we'll be hitting, I said, yes, the carriers are holding on to your data and passing it to authorities. That's from CNN Business. So we will get to that. So those are the stories we're going to go over this week. And as you can see, Snapchat Super Chat is open and accepting all donations. I decided just to leave it there instead of blocking as much as I usually do. So let's go on with the, by the way, I had said last week we were hoping Mike was going to take over tonight on Joker Tech, which he wasn't able to do. He had some family stuff come up. He's been on vacation all this week. So maybe he'll be hosting it next week. We'll see. I'll certainly let you know. Good evening, sir. Glad to have you here. Glad you dropped by. And so it's still me this week. Don't know if Mike will be able to drop in or if Will or Ted will drop in. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, if they don't, it'll be a quick show like it usually is. But we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to start with the stories. And like I said, happy Labor Day weekend for everybody that's in America. And hopefully we'll all have a good time this weekend. Although here in Chattanooga, they're talking about rain tomorrow and Sunday and Monday. So hopefully I'll get enough time to cut Eleanor's grass and maybe get a bicycle ride in. But we'll see how that goes. So let's get started with the stories. So first story, decided to continue with the Apple thing since that's the big thing we're all waiting for anyway. So the first story is, like I said, like T-Mobile, Apple will soon let you use satellites for connectivity. So I pulled that off from CNET. Apple completed satellite connectivity testing for iPhone 14, analyst says. And I think last week I reported to you that T-Mobile and SpaceX are connecting up to let you connect to the satellite so you won't lose connectivity. Well, Apple's doing the same thing, and I gather they just finished their testing. So let's see if I can go into reader view, and get rid of some of these ads. Okay. So Apple is reportedly working on satellite connectivity for the iPhone 14. So we'll find out next week if they got it done or not. The feature, which was previously rumored to debut on the iPhone 13 last year, finished its hardware testing ahead of mass production, according to Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, who usually is pretty accurate about stuff. So according to this, I'm planning to buy the iPhone 14 Pro Max, so we'll see if we have that connectivity or if it even tells us anything about it. Although Apple reportedly completed testing, Kuo says it's hard to predict when exactly the iPhone will support satellite communication connectivity and will depend on whether Apple and operators can settle the business model. So I guess we won't be seeing it on release day. However, Kuo believes the feature will come to fruition eventually, and I guess that's just a software thing, so I guess they can turn it on whenever they want. When the feature is implemented, it will allow iPhone users to send text messages via satellite in areas without cellular coverage, at least in emergency situations, which is pretty much what T-Mobile and SpaceX are also doing. Apple is set to host its Far Out launch on September 7th, and I guess you people are probably, or some of you at least, are probably as excited about that as I am. It's at this event that the iPhone 14 lineup is expected to debut alongside the Apple Watch Series H, which I'm wearing my Apple Watch SE right now, but I doubt that I'll be picking up the Apple Watch Series 8. We'll see. We won't know exactly what features the new iPhone will offer until Apple's announcement, but rumors suggest it could spot a notchless display, more about that in our next story, an upgraded camera, and a higher price, which we all kind of knew that already. Among other things, Apple didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. And that was, I guess, on Monday. Yeah, that was on Monday. So hopefully we won't be losing connectivity because we'll be able to get to the satellites when they make their deals, of course. So that's story number one. Stand off reader view. Let's get out of this story. Nothing new in the comments yet. So let's continue on down. If any of the guys drop in, I'll certainly let you know. So going down to the next story, which is also Apple. The iPhone 14 Pro has some slick software tricks in its display cutouts. This one was on 9 to 5 Mac. So, iPhone 14 Pro display cutout to show camera plus microphone privacy indicators. Redesigned camera app also coming. Now let's go back to my picture because you can see the two separate cutouts, and I don't think they're showing that in the story. At least I didn't see it. So you see that we have two things here. So once we get into the story, you'll understand why that's important. So let's go into reader view. Okay, and this was from 2 days ago, from Wednesday. The big Apple news of the day is that iPhone 14 Pro will apparently use software to make the two new display cutouts look like one seamless cutout. And as you saw, you've got the two cutouts here. And as we go down here, you'll see what they're saying here. Why is Apple making this change? A source with knowledge of Apple's plans tells 9 to 5 Mac that the space between the two cutouts will be used to show privacy indicators for the microphone and camera. And I think this is a good idea. The change will also help with the redesign for the camera app itself. The rumor today is that the pill and hole shaped cutouts, so here's the pill and hole shaped cutouts, will be bridged by software. Apple will essentially black out the area between the two cutouts. This will give the illusion that it's a one wide pill-shaped cutout, according to Bloomberg. So first it shows you how it is today. While it initially seemed like this would essentially be dead space, that's not actually the case. According to a source familiar with Apple's plans, the company will use this space to make its privacy indicators for the camera and microphone more visible, which they do that now, but there's a difference which you'll see. Currently, Apple places a small orange dot in the upper right-hand corner of the display, right here, when an application is using your iPhone's microphone. A green dot appears when an app is using your iPhone's camera. And so there's the green dot. That's saying it's using the camera. That's saying it's using the mic. On the iPhone 14 Pro, Apple will move these indicators and make them far more visible, which I think is a very good thing. The dead space between the two display cutouts of the iPhone 14 Pro will be used to show these green and yellow privacy indicators. So this space in here will look like one big cutout, but the dead space in here will have those indicators. Apple's goal, according to our source, is to make the experience more similar to a MacBook, which features an always visible green LED when the camera is in use. This will also allow Apple to show both the green and orange dots at the same time when the camera and microphone are both in use, which I think is great. Currently, Apple only shows the green dot even if an app is accessing the camera and microphone both. Additionally, Apple currently plans to let users tap on these indicators to see a clear list of which applications are using and perhaps have recently used the microphone and the camera. So I think that's a very good idea. Finally, 9to-Mac source adds that Apple is also planning a redesign to the camera app where most of the controls are moved to the top portion of the screen. Oh, and before I go on, I did see a story somewhere yesterday that was saying that this whole thing of two separate notches isn't going to be true. So we'll find out on Wednesday, but just wanted to let you know this is what we've been told for months it's going to look like, but we'll see. So we got Ted in here. Ted is saying, thanks, have a great life again. He's got to get to, he's working as usual. Man's are working for that. He's getting married in February, I think. So he's making money. And Brian's in here. Hey, Brian, glad to have you here, brother. All right, Ted, go make some money. Okay, back to the story. Finally, 9to5Mac source adds that Apple is planning a redesign to the camera app where most of the controls are moved to the top portion of the screen. Controls such as the flash button and live photo button are now positioned in the status bar, while more granular photo and video settings are directly below the display cutouts. This change will give users a larger view of the camera preview by shifting the controls upwards and moving some of them into the status bar. So another good idea, I think. The images above show these changes. And yeah, I don't see those changes. And when I take it out of reader view, I still didn't see those changes. Okay. Okay, I guess it does. Okay, we're good. So they were right. Back to reader view. They are mock-ups based on the information from our source. These optimizations for the new iPhone 14 Pro display cutout are the ones that Apple has tested and currently plans to implement. Given that they are software features rather than hardware features, however, they could be changed or scrapped altogether based on final testing. We're told the camera redesign in particular is still not entirely locked in, so we won't find out till Wednesday. Outside of these privacy indicators, Apple currently plans to have the dead space between the two cutouts show as pure black to create the illusion that it's one continuous. So it's going to end up looking like one continuous cutout like that. And supposedly it's going to start out like this. So we will see. And Alan's in here. Hey, Alan. Glad to have you here, brother. So now we've got Jersey City represented. This is good. So we've got Texas. We've got Texas. Well, he's on his way to work, I guess, do some kind of gig. And Brian's here, and Eleanor's here. Renz did send me a message on Twitter saying he would be dropping in. I do think he should be here at some point. I guess he's got a busy weekend also. And of course, he's probably on his way to work right now. So let's get this out of reader view and get rid of this story. Okay, that's nothing new in the comments. Okay. So that's what I have for iPhone and Apple stories this week. Next week, I'm sure we'll have a lot more. So next story, U.S. Commerce Department restricting sales of AI chips to Russia and China. And this is from Engadget. And the video reveals new U.S. government rule restricting export of AI chips to China and Russia. Yeah, that's going to cost the video a lot of money, as you'll see. Yeah, and it's SEC filing. The video said it could lose up to $400 million in potential sales for the third quarter because of this. So, but doesn't seem to matter what party you're in. Our government tries to keep a close look at what China's doing with our tech. So I got to think they kind of know what they're doing here, because this is not a party thing. This is an America-China thing. And this was by Mariella Moon from yesterday. The U.S. government has introduced and immediately started imposing a new rule that would restrict the export of computer chips used for supercomputers and artificial intelligence to Russia and China. NVIDIA has revealed in an SEC filing that the government has informed the company of the new license requirement affecting one of its current A100 and one of its upcoming H100 GPUs, which were designed to speed up machine learning tasks. The government apparently indicated to NVIDIA that the new license requirement will address the risk that the affected products may be used for military purposes by either country. So I think stopping that's a good idea. As the New York Times notes, AI and machine learning are used for various applications that include weapons development and surveillance. I can see the point. A U.S. Department of Commerce spokesman told Reuters, while we are not in a position to outline specific policy changes at this time, we are taking a comprehensive approach to implement additional actions necessary related to technologies and users and end users to protect U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. The requirement comes on the heels of another export control rule issued in mid-August that would prevent China from accessing advanced chip design software necessary to produce the next generation processors. So we don't want to give them AI for their weapons. And Renz is in here. Yo, Renz, glad to see you, brother. Glad you're here. And he's running late. Okay, so he's off to work. Always glad you're here, brother. He says hi to everybody, of course. Okay, back to our story. NVIDIA has admitted in its filing that the restriction might hamper its ability to complete the development of the H100 chip, which is partially being developed in China. It doesn't sell its products in Russia, but is expecting to earn around $400 million from sales to Chinese companies for the third fiscal quarter. Well, maybe not. That's money it could use for development of future products. The chip maker could lose all those potential sales if its Chinese clients refuse to purchase its alternative offerings Oh, so they do have something they can offer instead, I guess. Or if the government refuses to grant licenses to its biggest customers, well, it makes sense if they might use them in weapons. As for AMD, and they're also affected by this, a spokesperson told Reuters that while the new license requirement will prevent the company from exporting its MI250 chips to China, it doesn't believe it will have a big impact on its business. So I guess NVIDIA is the one who's going to suffer the most from this. So, but it's, if they're going to use AI in their weapons, it makes sense that we would stop them from getting them. So it makes perfect sense to me. Okay. Free to view. And this turn, okay, looks like this is going to be a very quick evening unless one of the guys pops in, which they haven't, and I'm not really expecting them to. But all right, next story. This one sounds kind of exciting, especially for those of us who buy mid-range devices. Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 SoC coming soon to mid-range devices with 4 nanometer technology, which I think is cool. And this one is on XDA's site. So Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 specs detailed in new leak. So let's go to read a view. And that was by Pranav Mehrotra. I think it's Mehrotra, I think. And this is from Monday. Qualcomm rebranded its Snapdragon lineup of smartphone SoCs with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 late last year. We all have a phone with that in it, or more than one. The company extended the new branding to its mid-tier Snapdragon 7 series this May with the launch of the new Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 chip. While most Android OEMs are yet to launch devices featuring the latest Snapdragon 7 series chip, a new leak has revealed details about the upcoming Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 system on a chip. The leak in question comes from Evan Blass, and we all know he's usually very dependable, and it reveals pretty much everything about the next SoC in Qualcomm's budget-friendly Snapdragon 6 series. That's great. Firstly, it confirms that Qualcomm will further extend its new SoC branding to Snapdragon 6 series SoCs and that the upcoming chipset will go by the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 moniker. It also reveals that Qualcomm will use a 4 nanometer manufacturing process for the SoC and a 2.2 gigahertz Cairo CPU and an unspecified Adreno GPU. However, it does not highlight the number of CPU or GPU cores on the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1, which I'm sure we'll all want to know. Although the leaked specs sheet does not share enough details about the CPU or GPU, it confirms that the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 will pack a Snapdragon X62 modem radio frequency system, bringing mmWave and sub-6 gigahertz 5G support to budget-friendly devices, which is awesome because I didn't think we'd be seeing mmWave on the budget-friendly, so this is good. Additionally, the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 will support up to 12 gigabytes LPDDR5 RAM clocked at 2750 megahertz and UFS 3.1 storage. Other noteworthy features include support for 120 Hz FHD Plus displays, Bluetooth 5.2, Wi-Fi 6E, that's great, and Quick Charge 4 Plus. On the camera front, the Spectra ISP on the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 will support either 13 megapixel rear-facing cameras, a 25 megapixel and a 16 megapixel dual camera setup, or a single 48 megapixel camera along with 4K HDR video capture. So it sounds like the budget devices are picking up some nice technology here. Currently, Qualcomm has not made any official announcements about the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 SoC, but the company has confirmed that it will host this year's Snapdragon Tech Summit between November 15th and November 17th. I think that's the one that's usually in Hawaii, I believe. It will likely unveil the next-gen flagship Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 system on chip during the event, and it may also showcase the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 along with it. So some exciting stuff coming to the mid-rangers and budgets, I guess. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's get out of here and get rid of this story. Okay, nothing new in the comments so far. Show's going by pretty quick, folks. But at least it allows you to do whatever you need to get done this weekend a little earlier. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard there's been a lot of tech layoffs for the past couple of months. Well, now Snapchat is joining that. Snapchat layoffs continue trend of tech job cuts. No, it says, so we're all going to Hawaii. Yeah, I'm hoping we'll go to Hawaii. All we got to do is come up with the money. I'm not going to have it because I'm getting the most expensive iPhone next week. So anybody that wants to donate money for me to go to Hawaii, you just feel free to drop it in Super Chat. Okay. Yeah, I'd be very happy to go to Hawaii. I've never been there. All right, this was on this one I pulled from BBC News. So Snapchat to cut a fifth of jobs. That's a lot of jobs to cut. And that's by James Clayton, North America Technology Reporter. So let's go into review. Snapchat will lay off 20% of its staff and shut down a string of new projects. About 1,200 employees will lose their jobs. I always feel terrible about that. I just pray for those people and their families. In the restructuring, which had been expected after a year of poor financial results. The company was worth $130 billion a year ago. It's now valued at less than $20 billion. That's a huge drop. Snapchat said the cuts would help the company save an estimated $500 million in annual cost. The company's CEO said the changes will be difficult. Yeah, I'm sure, especially for the people that you're getting rid of. Wow, that's tough. But business is business, and I understand that. Despite reducing spending in some areas, Snapchat must now face the consequences of our lower revenue growth and adapt to the market environment, which is what you should do. Its CEO, Evan Spiegel, said. Mr. Spiegel said that he wanted to focus the company's attention on its traditional lifeblood, making money from advertising, which makes perfect sense. It means the jettisoning of projects like mobile games and Pixie, the small drone designed to take selfies. I would have liked to have tried that out, I think. First, I've heard of that. So, social media companies like Snapchat, Meta, and Twitter have all struggled recently as the vast majority of their revenues are based on advertising. However, high inflation and a nervousness around the state of the global economy have left many advertisers reluctant to spend. Oh, Brian, thank you so much, sir. You're so faithful. I really appreciate it. And you know the money's going for a good cause this coming week, that's for sure. Snapchat has also been affected by privacy updates by Apple. Yeah, because when Apple allows you to see who's getting your information and not have them get it. So I can understand that. Yeah, Meta was complaining about that like crazy. Introduced last year. The changes have made it more difficult for advertisers to track people on their phones, which makes targeted adverts less focused. Yeah, I always say no. The reason why social media companies can charge so much to advertisers is because they hold so much information about its users, and that's why Apple allows us to stop sharing some of that. Without that information, advertisers are less willing to spend, which also makes perfect sense. So, and Brian said hi to Renz. I'm sure he'll see that when he gets to work, Brian, is my guess. Let's see. So I feel bad for all these people, jobs being cut, but with the economy the way it is worldwide, I can very much understand it. See, some of us have been blessed not to have it affect us so far, other than in gas prices and at the supermarket, of course. Okay, that's that story. Yeah, time is fleeting fast. I'm down to my last story already. Okay. And this one I just thought was an interesting story, and maybe everybody isn't aware. Yes, the carriers are holding on to your data and passing it to authorities. This was on CNN Business. Pardon me. Wireless carriers keep your location data for years and provide it to the police, which I guess they have to do, I think. Let's go into reader view. Mullen says they're still paying $5 a gallon here. Yeah, well, California, you guys always get killed with this kind of stuff. So yeah, we're paying. I got gas on the way home today. I found it for $3.19, and I saw it anywhere from $3.15 up to about $3.55. And I was talking to Eleanor when I was driving home, and she said she saw it on Gas Buddy. One of them had it at $2.98 or something like that. So we're not doing bad compared to you guys. You guys always suffer with this stuff. I understand that. Okay. This was from Monday and by Brian Fung. The country's largest wireless carriers not only know where you are every time you make a phone call or use your data connection, and keep in mind, it says use your data connection. If you're carrying your phone around, you're using your data connection. But they routinely hold on to that location information for months and in some cases years, providing it to law enforcement whether you like it or not. I'm sure they get pressured into it, according to carrier letters made public last week by the FCC. From data about which cell towers your smartphone has been communicating with to your specific GPS coordinates. And I remember Eric Snowden always talked about that, how the cell towers always know where you are, whether your phone is on or not on. He said it doesn't matter. Your smartphone constantly gives off a tremendous amount of information about your whereabouts. The letters from AT&T, Verizon, and other carriers show. For example, T-Mobile, that's who I use, retains granular latitude and longitude coordinates of devices on its network for up to 90 days, and less granular cell site location data for up to 2 years. Nice. The company told the FCC in a letter dated August 3rd. Verizon said it holds cell site data for up to 1 year, while AT&T said it may retain cell site data for up to 5 years. So these people aren't going to be quick to let go of this data. And of course, I'm sure if people offer them money for it, they just, we want to keep this. The company letters highlight how telecom companies are not just tech platforms. So it's not just Google, Meta, Apple, but telecom companies also cooperate with the government with government requests for personal information, an issue that's received intense scrutiny in recent months. And this I didn't know. Pardon me. As new state laws restricting abortion have prompted critics to worry about cellular location data being used to prosecute abortion seekers. That seems strange to me. Well, maybe I don't know. In addition to sending official data requests to companies, government agencies have also resorted to simply buying personal data from the open market themselves. They shouldn't be allowed to do that, I don't think. A practice U.S. lawmakers have questioned authorities about this year. For questioning them is to stop them from doing anything. That sensitive data, privacy advocates have said, can reveal whether a person may have visited an abortion clinic or sought other reproductive care, even if the location data was merely collected for the purpose of facilitating an unrelated call or mobile web search at the time. Yeah, see, they're concentrating on abortion stuff, and maybe that's true, but like it says here, it doesn't matter. They're using this stuff for all kinds of stuff that they may be interested in, and they're not going to tell us. Governments collect information for many reasons, but all too often data collected by the state is misused and weaponized for other purposes. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, a digital rights Group wrote in a blog post this spring. I'm sure that's true. FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel didn't explicitly mention potential risks related to reproductive care or abortion in her letters to more than a dozen top U.S. wireless carriers in July. But the inquiries came less than a month after the Supreme Court decision to overturn federal abortion rights in June, and amid heightened security of the many companies that handle location information and how they might respond to law enforcement requests for that data in connection with abortion prosecutions. Interesting. Given the highly sensitive nature of this data, especially when location data is combined with other types of data, and that's the big worry, what data are they putting together on us? The ways in which this data is stored and shared with third parties is of utmost importance to consumer safety and privacy, Rosenworcel wrote. I agree. Last week, Rosenworcel added she has called on the FCC's Enforcement Bureau to investigate whether wireless carriers are doing enough to tell customers how their information is handled. Of course they're not. There are many reasons a wireless carrier collects location information from subscribers, the companies told the FCC. One main reason is simply to operate the network, okay, makes sense, as consumers would expect. But there are other reasons too. For example, to make money. For example, FCC rules require that carriers provide detailed information to 911 dispatchers in an emergency, makes sense, down to a device's likely elevation so that first responders can more easily locate someone if someone in need if they are on the first floor of a building. That does make sense. Carriers also collect location data for purposes that don't directly relate to the provision of wireless services. Verizon, for example, told the FCC it may use location data as part of an offering to third parties that can develop insights to help estimate traffic patterns during the morning rush hour or how many customers go to a real store. So in other words, they're using it, selling it to companies to make money and target you for their ads. AT&T told the FCC it may collect location information in order to serve subscribers targeted ads, as I just said. And I'm sure that's where the majority of it is going. While in some cases, consumers may be able to opt out of this data collection, such as with AT&T's advertising program, they generally cannot opt out of having their location data shared with law enforcement, the carrier letter said. Well, that makes sense. I mean, law enforcement does have some valid reasons for wanting the data at times, but hopefully they're getting authorization from the court first, I hope. Like all companies, we are required by law to provide information to law enforcement and other government entities by complying with court orders, subpoenas, and lawful discovery requests, AT&T wrote to the FCC. In all cases, we review requests to determine whether they are valid. And that's why my respect for Apple jumped up, remember, a few years ago when they refused to give the FBI the phone information, which I thought they did the right thing. So just be aware that they are keeping your data, and they're all keeping it for quite a while. So, and of course, they're selling it. Let's get out of this and get rid of this story. Okay, yes, it's definitely going to be an earlier than usual night because those are my stories for tonight. And we may be done before Renz even gets to work. I hope not, but it's probably going to be, because I guess it depends on traffic for him. He was talking about paying $5 a gallon in California. So at least now I know you're in California. Didn't know that till tonight. And Brian said, New York is headed there. Yeah, we've been coming, well, I can't say we came down about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, to about where we are now. And we seem to be in Chattanooga area. We seem to be hovering between about, Chattanooga, North Georgia too. I say somewhere between $2.90 a gallon and anywhere up to about $3.55, $3.60. I can usually find gas for about what I did today, $3.19 today, $3.25 3.30. That's been what it's been like here for the last month or so. So compared to what we were 2 months ago, of course, it feels better than it did. But like today, I bought gas and I ended up paying over $37, and I was about a quarter tank. And I drive a Kia Sportage SUV, so guess we just have to deal with it. But it's better than it was. All right, so down to I'm still watching to see if any. Brian says, let's see. $2.90. I haven't seen those prices in a long time. Yeah, in New York, you're probably not going to see it. Being from Jersey, I understand. And of course, I spent half my life working in Manhattan. So, and I have to admit, generally, whenever gas prices are high, the Chattanooga area is usually better than most of the rest of the country, which is, I guess, is about where we are now. We're usually one of the lower areas in the country. So I'm happy about that. All right. So as usual, we're going to go to glowing rectangles just in case there's anybody watching who doesn't know how to get this exposure. So if you are a blogger or you make videos, Warren Bagnell, some gadget guy, created this about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's on Reddit. And if you go to reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles, if you want to get some exposure for yourself or somebody else, you've got a video or a blog, you can always put it here on a daily basis. And click on top, we'll see what got upvoted the most today. And of course, there's one. And of course, he's got the brand new Sony Xperia 5 IV. First look, I saw this video yesterday, and compared to what the Sony Xperia phones usually cost, this is a lot better. I think this one was about, I'm thinking $1,100, which is a lot better than the $1,500 or $1,600 we usually pay for them. But anyway, he did a really nice job, so I would highly recommend taking a look at this video, especially if you're interested in the Sony Xperia phone, and especially since this price is, it's still high. It's I think it was $1,100, but it's certainly better than what we've seen for the last few years. So he got 14. That's a lot for one day. And let me upvote him too, because he certainly deserved it. And the second one is always an ad. Let's see. Okay, paying for Giannis Tech. He got 3 votes. Oh, he finished the studio build. I'm sure that must have been interesting. And this is going to be last week's Friday Night Tech Call, because he usually starts his show at 9 o'clock on Friday. So this is going to be last week's, I guess. Yeah, because he'll be on 9 o'clock tonight. At least he usually is every Friday. So anyway, if you need some exposure, you want to give somebody an exposure, put the video or the blog here, and people can see it. You get a little more exposure, and people will upvote. I've never seen anybody downvote anything here, so I don't think you have to worry about that. But anyway, I'll let you know about that every single week, just to let you know what's out there. So let me stop screen. And the moment says California is a joke. Well, yeah, tax-wise and that kind of, California is just plain expensive in every possible way. So I hate to leave before Renz gets to work, but Renz, if you get there and I'm gone, well, you'll know why. Tonight was just a pretty short night. Yeah, 45 minutes. This will be the earliest I finished in a while. Mike's busy on vacation, and he and his wife are at the beach somewhere, and I think he spent a lot of it at home too. I don't have to be to work till next Thursday, so hopefully I'll be getting some stuff done for my YouTube channel here. And I just got a notification that Tubi will be on in 30 minutes, so he'll be on at 9 o'clock as he usually is. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend, especially in America. If you are off on Monday, I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. Hope it doesn't rain here as much as they're saying it's going to rain for the next 3 days. And I hope I can get my bicycle rides in, my grass cutting done, and some more videos done. Probably work on a video for the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, which is, I have them on right now. And I'm going to try to put up some kind of video putting this up against the Pixel Buds. So I'm trying to get that done probably by Sunday. And just ordered another pair of LG earbuds today. So looks like I'm getting much more into the earbuds game, which I don't mind. And hopefully you guys will get some good information from me about the new buds. The moment says, thanks for all the videos you make, George. I enjoy the night mode test. Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Then I will try to get out probably tomorrow night or the next night and get another night video one done that I haven't done with some of the phones that I have. And of course, you guys are pretty aware of the current phones I have. The S22 Plus. I still have my S21 Ultra, my Pixel 6, my iPhone 12 Pro, and that's why I'm getting the Pro Max, because I skipped the 13 completely this year. I just figured, okay, now it's time for me to bite the bullet and get one. And I'm still using my Motorola Edge 2022. So, and I'm still using, of course, my Z Flip 3. I didn't get the 4. I still love my Z Flip 3. I've had no problems, no screen problems. My screen protector hasn't peeled off. My flip works just fine. Seems solid as a rock, so still have that. And I'm still occasionally using my Pixel 5a too. And if I trade anything in anytime soon, it'll probably be the 5a, which I won't get much for. But other than that, I'm not planning on trading my iPhone 12 Pro because I'll be using that to do some tests against the iPhone 14, and so I want to hang on to the phones that I have at the moment. So I'll try to get something done at night this weekend and try to get some earbud comparisons up, at least to let you guys know what I'm thinking, how they sound. Now, so far, I've taken these on the bicycle ride, and of course, last week I was using the Pixel Buds on the bicycle ride. Both of them I absolutely love, but I haven't put them one against the other as yet. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend. But been very blessed with the buds I've been getting. They haven't cost too terribly much, and I'm pretty happy with them. So that's tonight's show. I hope everybody has a wonderful and blessed weekend, and I will see you next week. And then, by the way, say a prayer for all those people who are getting laid off in the tech world, for them and their families, because what else can we? And Renz did make it. You made it just before I shut down, Renz. I'm glad. He says, I'm sticking with the 12 mini until an iPhone will have Type-C. Yes, and I saw that you mentioned that on Twitter the other day, and I think that's probably a good idea. So, next week, I'll be a little poorer, but hopefully soon after that, I will have the 14 in-house. So everybody have a blessed weekend. Renz, I hope you don't have to work too hard tonight. And I'll see you all next week. Outside possibility. Oh, Renz, thank you as always. So you're so kind. You and Brian are so faithful. And the moment says, stay safe, everyone. And there's an outside chance that Mike will have it on Joker Tech next week, but I won't say anything about that until Wednesday or Thursday when we know more. All right, everybody have a great one, and I will see you all next week.